Hello friends, welcome back to Scrapbook Your Legacy with Carrie. I am so glad that you are here. Thank you to all those who are subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate it. I've had a steady growth every week, and so since I started, I am just so excited about that. I kind of celebrate every week. But anyway, I appreciate you coming by and visiting and watching my videos and liking them. So thank you. My whole point is to build a community here and inspire you to be creative and with telling your story. So what you're seeing here is not actually what I'm doing today, but I wanted to share the start of a layout for my Colorado album. This is day 2, the second museum that we went to, but what I wanted to share was that Creative Memories came out with I'm going to show it on this, a stencil set with the ink brushes and little inks. And this is what it looks like. I mean, you can flip it over and use it the other way. I think when I did the unboxing, I shared these could be fireworks for 4th of July. So what I wanted to show you was that I had used this for this layout so far. I've inked papers for this because I'm trying to have my Colorado album look a little kind of aged and rustic. I'm going to put this away, but, well, actually, no. But what I wanted to show you was that I'm trying to create a border with the stencil. Now, it's a bit of a mess because I'm learning how to use these stencils. So I'm probably going to flip over this paper and try it again on the other side, or I may just leave it because it's, imperfect, and that's fine. It's a rustic album. But there is the stencil, and it looks like wheatgrass, which is perfect for like these prairie pictures where we went to learn about the, well, we didn't know what we were actually going to be learning, but it's the National Historic Trails Interpretive Center, which out in Wyoming. This is really cool. There's 4 trails that interconnect there. The Oregon Trail, the Mormon Trail, the California Trail, and there's like a telegraph trail. I had to write it down. It's the Transcontinental Telegraph and Pony Express Trail. It's like a really long name. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of them. And so there's a lot of history in Casper and Cheyenne, Wyoming around these trails. So I'm using postcards, but here's like this kind of wheatgrass, which I think looks a little bit like the prairies. Like you can even see some of the grass here, but it's even more so when you're out on the road. But anyway, I just wanted you to see how this stencil is working and using it outside of a fall layout. And the other thing I experimented with, I wanted you to see, is I was trying to see how this would line up with like a border maker cartridge. So because there's these edges, okay, there's a couple different, like 4 different edges that you can use. And so I was trying to see if any of them lined up with a border maker cartridge, and this one kind of does. So just experimenting with different things to see, how they work. So I'm going to be playing with that, and I'll share with you how I'm playing with it. But I just wanted to share this layout of it's a travel layout, and I haven't shared much from the Colorado album because some of the layouts I've been doing, I'll probably do a layout share and then do some of the more like quote unquote exciting layouts of like the mountains and stuff. But anyway, if you ever go to Wyoming, Casper and Cheyenne were amazing, and there is just a ton of history. Of course, there's Yellowstone and Grand Tetons and Jackson Hole and all of that, which are all fantastic. But they're super busy in the summer, whereas Casper and Cheyenne are not. So it's just something to think about. But I wanted to share this stenciling with you. And then this, I hollowed out wood paper from Deeper in the Woods and then tore the edge and then came in with another Deeper in the Woods. So this is all Deeper in the Woods. But this is that fall stencil, but I'm using it for a travel album. So I just wanted to share that with you with thinking outside the box. All right, so today, and I got to figure out where to put this. I have to switch out. All right, so today I'm going to use page kit number 7 from Noteworthy Days. That is a barbecue theme, a grilling theme. And I am changing it up. So I'm going to share with you some of that. So let me bring in the pages. I don't have all the photos because I don't have permission from everybody, and it's a hot mess right now, but trust me when I say I'm going to bring order where there is chaos here. So because nothing's glued down. I've been messing around with it and working on it for several days. The other thing I wanted to show you is this is one. All right, so sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. All right, so this is page kit number 7, which is a grilling theme. And what I wanted to do was show you how to blend it with Backyard Barbecue, which is an older collection, and then US of Yay, which is an older collection. But they all have similar colors. So let me pull these out. All right, so here's Backyard Barbecue, which has red, cranberry, canary, avocado, and blue, okay? And then here's US of A, which is red, navy, cranberry, blue, and white. All right, so that's these two collections. And then here is, so I am mixing those in. And then the backyard, the Noteworthy Simple Page kit number 7 uses cranberry, yellow, blue, baby blue, and cool gray. All right, so what I wanted to show you is here's the sketch that you can follow if you want to just go with what they give you with the cut apart page and this like Fast to Fab page. Remember, they give you a Fast to Fab option, and then they give you like you can break out on your own. So I'll show you what the Fast to Fab page look like on the other side. Now, I've cut it down by an inch, I believe. I think this is now, I can't measure it backwards. I need to go down here. This is 11 1/4. All right, so this is the gray tonal page. It's all cookout stuff. So there's pizza, there's tomatoes, it's all barbecue kinds of things, summer foods, hot dogs, you know, there's cooking utensils. So there's just, it's a tone on tone. So it's a nice neutral background. Here's the flip side, which they have it going this way. So you see how this is Fast to Fab. I like the lattice background and I like the wood. I don't like the plaid. And I didn't like how it was going to look with my pictures. So I chose, so I'll show you that again because I'm probably going too fast. So that's, you can see the plaid is red and blue, dark blue, light blue. So there's all the mixes in there. And then you've got this great wood tone, wood, you know, like wood floor. And then here's like a light blue or gray and white, you know, light gray and darker gray, tone on tone lattice. But I like this one better. And then I'm just going to put it in behind these photos. So what I did is I gutted 2 papers. The white is 12 by 12. And then this one I gutted and cut it down by, I think it's 11 1/2. So the blue is 11 1/2. So I cut a 1/2 inch off of each side, off of 2 sides. Let me correct that. I cut a 1/2 inch off of 2 sides of this blue paper and then gutted it at 1 inch so that I would have a 1/4 inch border around. So does that make sense? This one is gutted at 1 inch. All right, and that makes it super easy to do a 1 inch border because with the Creative Memories cutting 12-inch cutter, see that white line? So this box is 2 inches. That white line is 1 inch. So when you come down to the end, when you stop at the edge of your paper, all right, so this piece would be at the edge of your paper. This would be 1 inch in. And then I run it all the way to the top and I put this end to the edge of the paper and stop it. And then I've got my 1 inch border. I hope that makes sense. So that's how I gut my pages. I try to keep it super simple for gutting. And then I just cut this down by a quarter of an inch to 11 1/4 so that I would have an eighth, I think it's about an eighth of an inch border. All right, so this paper is from the page kit number 7, which is a cookout theme. Isn't this, yeah, I have it right side up. Isn't that, yeah. Isn't that photo cool? This was after the fireworks in our neighborhood, and there was all this smoke, and then the fire engine over here had a spotlight shining over to the island in our pond over here so they could clean up. So the smoke, it just kind of lit up and everything else was black. And I just thought it was just this cool picture. And then you can see all the people over there. I don't know if you can see them, but these are all the little people across the pond from us. So anyway, this paper here is from Backyard Barbecue. And then this border is from US of Yay, okay? Which I want to tell you, if you don't have this one, right, you could use red cardstock and you can use this border maker cartridge if you have it, all right? You see how similar these are, okay? If you don't have these, you know, you can use, if you have this border maker cartridge, you could use this and just do a border right along here, all right? And then I'm mixing it with, believe it or not, the Starfish border maker cartridge, because if you don't have stars, starfish are stars. So this is what I'm using today as my stars to layer with this kind of like banner, but it looks like, you know, lemon halves or something, or watermelon halves. With the seeds. So that's what that is. And then there is a border maker on sale, 50% off. I don't have it. I don't think I have it. It's the Greek key, and it's 50% off right now, which means it's $12.50. All right. Then these 3 papers are from US of Yay. I was going to use these as tags and put them behind this photo here, but it was too much. I didn't like how it looked. That was kind of like one of my iterations of this. So I actually turned them into banners, and I'm going to put them up at the top. So that is my plan. And then there's a grill that comes. I may cut this in half and use it as a place for my embellishments to land, okay? So what I'm going to do, and I've already matted all my photos. These are 3x4 photos that I cut down to 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I went out by 1/4 of an inch on each of these. So there's a white border at 2 7/8, okay? And then the red mat is 3x4. So that's how I did that. And then these are from my own stash. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue down the papers, and then I'll come back and we'll start embellishing and stuff. So I'll be right back. All right, we are back, and I have the gutted pages put together. So here's the back. All right, so here's the Fast to Fab part, the blue that I gutted and then white that I gutted. And that just helps to remove some of the bulk from the albums, but you don't have to do that. I like to save paper, and I like to keep the bulk down on my albums. All right, so we will, the other thing is too, I'm out of repositionable. And so it's taking me a little longer to put the paper down because I'm trying to be careful with the more permanent tape. All right, so this is where I'm going with things. You saw how I had the photos laid out. So here's the original sketch for page kit number 7, which I am completely changing. All right, as you've seen, it started. I am going with a worldwide virtual crop sketch that came with, and you can get these on the blog too. So if you don't have it, you can go to September 2024 and get this sketch number 1 from the blog. All right, so just know it came with this. If you got this, if you purchased this notebook, I think it was, came with, no, it was a purchase, yeah. So if you purchased this, it would be in there. So that's where I got it from, but you can go on the blog. So I had a couple of sketches picked out, which are very similar, right? You can see these are similar, they're just turned. But what I did is, I'm not following this either. I like the idea of the paper and then 3 photos. So mine are not 3.5 by 5.5, but they are 3 by 4s. So I turned it, all right, and then this one would be turned this way so that it's going straight across. So that is what I've done, and I've created a banner. I'm not inking anything, but this is kind of what I did, except this way, which is almost like, kind of like this, except I liked that you had paper behind photos. So I hope that makes sense. I am blending 3 different situations. All right, so let me get these 2 papers down, and I'm just going carefully. And isn't this great too on the other side, that picnic check? All right, so I go sparingly with my adhesive, you know, because we go through so much of it so quickly. But anyway, these photos are from this year, but every year we host a 4th of July cookout because our neighborhood does fireworks, and they do a fantastic job. So we never have to leave our neighborhood for good fireworks. And I am so grateful for that. And so I don't have to deal with traffic. I can walk to the pond and walk back from the pond. So anyway, every year we invite a bunch of friends, and we provide the main course, which, you know, burgers and dogs, pretty easy. And then everybody else brings desserts and sides, and then we have, you know, drinks that we provide, and we do kind of a BYOB scenario. You know, if you want an alcoholic beverage, like, we're not opposed to that, but that gets expensive when you're hosting for a lot of people. So my kids bring their friends, family is there, and it's just a fun time to connect with people that you haven't seen in a while. So that's what I like to do. Oh, so this is reversible. So these I'm going to put down next. And I'm going to layer it where this is. I was supposed to cut that. All right, well, let me just cut it right there. They're thick. All right, so there we go. It's cut. I know. I hear the, it did what? All right, so let me cut. Oh, kind of did something weird there. All right, let me cut this one over here. Yep. There's bound to be something that goes on. We'll just try to get that cut on angle as much as, okay. I'll call it good. All right, there's that. All right, so it might be torturous to watch me put this down. So I'm gonna go ahead and put both this and the stars. So the stars, remember, this is the starfish. So this will come on top of that, and I'll have to cut that too. So I'm just gonna layer them, but I have to put one down and then layer that on top, right? So that's where we're going with that. So I'm gonna pause the video again so I don't torture you with this, and we'll be back in a moment. All right, I have them both down. What I used for my starfish border was the pinpoint adhesive pen, precision point adhesive pen, and just dotted it along, and then was, you know, flipped over, and it gives you a little bit of a chance to move stuff. But because I don't have my repositional adhesive right now, I'm kind of improvising. But this is great because you have a little bit of time to move it and position it, and then it dries clear. It's not messy because you can just dot it, you can draw a line. And how I positioned it is I wanted to cover this kind of weird cutout that this had. There was like a dip right here, and I wanted that covered up. So I just layered them slightly over one another. All right, so that's the border. I'm hoping my puppy remains patient while I finish this up. But anyway, so that's that part. And so now we'll start filling in with the story part. And I already have my journaling done. And then I've got, my fingers are a little sticky from the glue. All right, so I've got this, and I'm going to put that back there. And then these are what started out as tags. Like I said, I was going to put them behind this photo, but it just seemed like the photo one was too small. And so what I've decided to do is layer them up here. Move this down a little bit, give some breathing room up there. So they're going to go right up against the edge. And I think I had them filling in kind of like that. Okay, so these are from the US of Yay. And then I've got, isn't it cool? I use my iPhone to take these firework pictures. Isn't that cool how that, you know, the smoke is green. It was pretty cool. And that one goes there. And then I tried to get reflection in the water. You can't see it too well, but I like how it takes the pictures. And it's better than my point and shoot. And here's all the people. All right, so that's what it looked like as we were getting ready, and then afterwards with the smoke. I just love this photo. So anyway, yeah, so I have that shows everybody over there. And then people at the picnic, my niece and nephew having fun on the hammock. So we did this up north too, and we'd have a lot of people when the kids were little. So the kids would all play in the playscape, and we do our own fireworks. And I think we did it right around Memorial Day. And we just fill up our backyard. At that point, everybody would bring their own meat. And we would just sit in circles with families and enjoy each other's company. So coming down here into the south, we decided, well, we want to do something. So everybody loves our neighborhood's fireworks. So we started doing that and hosting everyone. All right, so here is this grill. Okay, so what I'm thinking of is putting this here and cutting it in half, and then using the other half up here, and then layering in. So here are the embellishments, my notes, so I didn't lose my train of thought. I also cut out a larger title, Barbecue Time, but I do have a smaller title. And this is going to go on a peekaboo pocket that shows our friends that were there, but I don't have permission to show their faces, so I'm just going to protect them. I don't care about my nephew. He's never going to see these videos. Isn't that funny? And then when you get a page kit, they come with this little extra thicker cardstock kind of sticker situation. And then I cut a bunch of leaves out. These are from Creative Memories punches. I used these two punches. All right, the 5-leaf punch, and then this little punch that also cuts out the skeleton part of the leaf. All right, so that's what I used. I didn't check to see if they're still available, but I say, do leaves need to be green? Nope, we are going with blue. And I'm just gonna see how they go. I fitted them. I don't know if it's gonna be too much, so I may choose to leave them out, but we're gonna play with that. Here I am, I don't even have it in camera. All right, so that's where we're going with some of this. All right, so we're just gonna start. Let me cut this in half, and then we'll get that. All right, so I'm just gonna cut it with my scissors to cut it in half, okay? And then we've got 2 grills that are now embellishment placeholders. All right, so we're gonna get the photos down. I hear my neighbors out there. We have cows in our backyard. I've shared this before, and we always tell people, and of course, since doing that, we've fenced our backyard for our dog, but I always tell people, bring your kids up to the fence because they're in our backyard. I'm like, bring them up to the fence, let them see the cows. They're not going to be here forever. And, you know, I think it's important for kids to see these animals and in their natural habitat. And I think I've shared this, the cows behind us, that is the farmer's nursery. And so it's all the cows, and they give birth back there every year, and we get to see that. So every year, we look for, the babies being born, and, sometimes they're born, the two that we have out there right now were born right around, I think, a little after Christmas, and they were not too far apart in their birth. And I remember feeling so badly for them because it was so cold, but you know what? They're made for the outdoors. I also involved with horses, and it's the same thing. They are made for the outdoors. You can't feel sorry for them. Their coats are designed to seal up when they get wet, and the undercoat stays dry. And they much prefer to be out in the elements. And I know the cows love a good rain shower because I think that's straight. Maybe it's not. Here we go. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, sorry if that shook the thing. But anyway, yeah, so for our backyard thing, the cows come over, everybody loves to see the cows, and then we set up cornhole, which I did not know what that was until we moved down here. So we have cornhole for everybody, and everybody enjoys playing. There's always someone playing, and then people just sitting around chatting. All right, so I'm going to do that there because I'll have leaves come out. So anyway, yeah, so we have all these places set up for people to gather, and then my husband goes out early in the morning to set chairs out by the lake to reserve, an area for all of us. And we're usually all pretty close to each other and can chat, but there's a lot of people from that we know from our church and stuff. So there's a lot of them in our neighborhood because our church is kind of just around the corner. That looks about even. So we see a lot of people that we know when we go to the fireworks. And anyway, it's just a good time. And then our neighborhood, they pipe in, music, like all the greats, and, like patriotic music. I say all the greats, but, like patriotic music. They do a lot of the instrument, like orchestra, patriotic music, which, can I think of any of the names of these songs now? Nope. And then they honor all the divisions of the armed forces. So you can't see them because it's dark, but they have them stand up. All right, let's see how we'll come over this way. But anyway, it's always a good time. And then the fireworks last for like a half hour, 45 minutes, and then everybody walks back, and then we hang out in the backyard under the lights a little bit and just visit, and people can stay for as long as they want, or they can leave. So it's just a fun time of catching up with people that you don't see all the time, and they all love coming for the fireworks. So I'm good with that because I don't have to go anywhere. And then my husband is the grill master every year. He and sometimes my kids help out, my sons, but that's his thing, and he gets his marching orders on how to cook everything. People like things a certain way, so he makes sure that he gets it correct, and then he feels badly if he doesn't. Now, I did not do a die cut circle over here. I am just doing the grill, and I'm leaving it a little loose right now. I hope it doesn't stick down fully. And then we'll do this one right here. And I'm not gonna, hopefully it doesn't stick down too fast. All right, and then we'll do these. So I much prefer how these turned out up top with oops, that didn't stick down. Doing it as a banner instead of a tag, because it just wasn't working. And I sit with things, I kind of set it up, and then I wait overnight, and then I come back and I look at it and tweak it, and then I come back. Like, sometimes my layouts can take me several days while I'm trying to see what's gonna make me happy, and so that's kind of how I operate. Hi, how are you? My little girl is over here, not so little. She's like an 80-pound lab. And she's been in her crate a lot today because I was food shopping, and then I have a horse with a swollen leg, so trying to help out with hosing that and making sure she's okay. So I was kind of running around a little bit today. All right, so I cut these out. This is what I did this time, is I cut the sticker sheets. Let me show you these. All right, let me get the other one. I don't know if I'm going to need that one. All right, so this is Noteworthy Days, and I cut out the 4th of July. That's what these are. And it just makes it easier to place them on the page. And then this is what came with the page kit, this one right here. And I cut some things out from there. And then this is from Backyard Barbecue. There's 2 sheets or 3 sheets to this. It came with borders. So I cut some items out from there, and I still might use more. Hey, excuse me. Let's see if she does okay. All right, so this is going to go over here. I'm going to overlap it a little bit and then have these coming out. Let me get this out of the way a little bit. And then I've got some, hey, bird. Hang on one second. She needs attention, and she's been very good. All right, so this is kind of what I'm thinking is, do I want to put leaves up in here and kind of carry that color out? And I also cut some out of the page kit from the cut apart page. So I have some of that in here, some of the light blue, and I might just have that come out that way. And then some more blue down in here, and then I've got the red. So I'm just trying to figure out, how do I want this to be? And we'll just have to see how this goes. I kind of want to cover that a little bit. All right, so we're just gonna see how sometimes you just have to think out loud. I cut these so I would have them, but then I also have these pieces. So let me start with these and get these down, because these are going to go kind of in the middle here. And we'll get that coming out from there. And then this will come out over here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Got some stickies there. All right, and I don't want to, so I just kind of have them coming out like that. And then I had the leaves, which I'm not going to completely, I don't have repositionable. I want to see how this is going to be back in here. I can do that. I can now press that down. And we'll get the blue down underneath. Oh, she's got a sore on her leg and she's after it a little bit. Maybe I'll have that come out from under the picture a little, just to have layers. Okay, so we'll do that. And then we'll have that. We have to pick that up a little bit. But anyway, comment below. Do you host like big gatherings for like the 4th of July or Memorial Day or Labor Day? Do you do it at the lake? Do you, we have a huge lake culture down here. Or do you, just do it in your backyard, My husband and I, like to do this for our friends, and they can bring their friends. I'm gonna have to probably cut that. That's not quite working like I thought. So, that's fun to have. I'm going to use the precision point pen over here and just kind of, you just kind of hit the point in it. You can see the blue ink. See that? There's some, not blue ink, blue glue. Blue glue. All right, so we're gonna see if we can layer this under here and see how that's looking. I'm gonna have to probably trim that a little bit. And then I think I want this to come out from there. All right, I think I am liking the leaves. We're just gonna commit. You know, sometimes you just have to just do it and see how it is. All right, I do like this. So if you don't have this, this is a great little tool for the toolbox for scrapbooking. All right, so let's use this to lift this a little bit. Get that in there. I'll let that glue settle in. All right, then what I thought I would do, and I don't have it here, is use like some of these utensils. I probably need some leaves. Probably should have had a leaf coming out from up in here. That's a little blank. But anyway, I thought I would hide some of these utensils down in here a little bit, coming out like that. There's like a brush, and believe me, I'll have other cookout pages, so I'll be able to, let's just hide that in there. So you kind of have barbecue stuff coming out as part of the, you know what, we can do this over there. And I'll put this up on, what are they called? Foam adhesive. Oh my goodness, it's the end of the day. You know how that goes. So anyway, that's where we are headed with that. So what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to finish up the embellishment areas and come back and show you the finished product. But again, using, and I'll review what I used again. Just getting these little things off. But anyway, yes, comment below and just let me know like what you like to do. What's your favorite thing to do for the holidays? And this just says, boom, this is from Noteworthy Days. So I'll just put that up in there and that fills it up. Okay, so that looks good. All right, well, let me pause this. I'm going to finish up the embellishment areas and show you how it finished up. Be right back.